Hey guys, my quest to find the best low-profile mechanical keyboard still hasn't ended yet. So that is why we'll take a look at the Drevo Joyeuse V2 today. Quite a special name, it sounds a bit French. In French we would say Joyeuse. But anyway, they sent this unit over for a review, and by the end of the video we'll compare it against the Cooler Master SK650, a pretty different approach to low-profile mechanical keyboards, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's go. So this keyboard comes in a really slim box, pretty much as slim as most boxes keycaps come in, so that's good news. In it you will find the keyboard itself and a USB Type-C cable alongside the manual. I like that they went for USB Type-C, however the cable is rubberized and not braided like some would prefer. This keyboard is pretty much all metal. The housing is made out of aluminum alloy and it's painted black. The top is made out of two parts, one being the plate and the other being the top of the case. It has a chamfered edge throughout the inner cutout and has a rounded shape near the back of the keyboard. This is also where you will find the Type-C connector. At the bottom, you won't find much apart from rubber dots for the feet. The sides look pretty neat with that glowing banding, and the LEDs are white only and can be controlled with keyboard shortcuts. Another point worth mentioning is that there are no LEDs for the caps lock and num lock keys, so you need to type to find out if these are on or off. All in all, the frame feels quite solid. The black finish seems to be painted and not anodized, so it might scratch easily, but my unit still looks perfect up to now. And at the thickest point, the keyboard is only 21mm high, so I guess you can call that slim, especially for a mechanical keyboard. It either comes with white or red switches, so either a clicky or a linear feel. My unit came with white switches and I like them quite a lot. They're not branded as scale low profile switches, but they do look a lot like them and they have the same keycap mounting system, so I wouldn't be surprised to learn that they're manufactured by Kale, although the stem is slightly different. And contrary to the Kale white box switches, these are real clicky switches, as there is a notch right before the actuation point where the middle pin hits the contact point, and this is what generates the sound too. So there is no click bar in those, and another difference is that the sound is only audible when hitting down the key and not when it's going back up like you see on the Kale white box switches. They do feel really nice for low profile switches, and you still achieve a total of 3mm of travel with the actuation point at 1.5. The actuation force is 50 grams, so overall the feel is close to what you would expect from a normal switch. I'm not a fan of clicky switches normally, but these have a pretty subtle audible click, so I do like them. I also have a strong feeling that the reds are pretty much the same but without the added notch that creates both the tactile bump and the audible click. These unconventional switches also require unconventional stabilizers, so that is what's included here. However, I feel like this is the standard for low profile switches, as they seem to match the mount that's on other third-party low profile keycap sets. So that's great, although there is barely any custom low profile keycaps. I like that they went with what's standard instead of a proprietary system. These stabilizers are not outstanding, but they do the job fine. They rattle a bit and the keycap can slightly pop out if you hit them hard from the sides, but I would say it's reasonable. I feel like the non-standard stabilizers on the Have It low profile boards feel a bit better as the keys go down perfectly straight with those, but still, these are not too bad either. But don't take my words for it, here's a sound test so that you get a better idea. The layout is not exactly NC standard, although it is inspired by it. The bottom row has a few 1-unit keys to make room for the arrow keys, same thing for the right shift key. So although few third-party options are available, I don't think you will find a keycap set to replace these. I'd say the layout is easy to get used to, and I like that they made it more compact given how thin it is. I think it makes sense. I also think it's a good looking layout. The fact that the gaps between the keycaps are always equal looks really good, except for the escape key. The keycaps are really thin as well, and they are almost flat with a slight horizontal curve. They do feel a lot like laptop keys, but maybe a bit better. The spacing between the keys feel right, and it's not hard to get used to if you are used to a laptop keyboard. They're ABS with laser etched legends, so not the best thing, but that's what most popular keyboards come loaded with. The original version of the Joyeuse came with double shot keycaps, which I would have preferred honestly, so I don't really know why they made that choice. I do think these new keycaps have a better shape and look better overall, but laser etching is not as durable as double shot legends, and the black dye might wear off after some time, and the keycaps might shine too. Finally, keycaps like these show dirt more easily, so it might be a little harder to keep it looking clean compared to PVT keycaps. Now, how does it feel typing on this keyboard? In a nutshell, I would say it feels like a glorified laptop keyboard, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. The switches are a pleasure to type on, and the stabilizers are not too bad either. The keycaps might require a bit of time to get used to, but I found it pretty easy to retrieve my usual typing speed, and my fingers didn't feel lost on there either. Also, being super thin, you don't really need a wrist rest to type comfortably on this keyboard. I often type on an old generation Retina MacBook, and the keycaps and layout is not too far from that, so it was really easy to pick up. However, if you come strictly from normal mechanical keyboards and are not a fast typer on laptop keyboards, this unit might be a bit too flat for you. Even for gaming, it wasn't too bad. I do feel like it wouldn't be as great as for typing in that case, mostly because your fingers might slip a bit easier than on regular keycaps that have more pronounced concave shapes. So if you mostly game, I would probably go for a keyboard with regular switches and keycaps, but it still wasn't a bad experience either, just not optimal. Another great feature of this keyboard is the LED lights. One thing to note is that they are white only, not RGB, which is fine for me considering this is not as much of a gaming keyboard as others might be. And if it's not going to be RGB, I feel like white is the next best thing to make sure it matches the rest of your setup. Everything is controlled on board. You can change the animations as well as pick from predefined light zones. You can also adjust the intensity and the speed of set animations. And finally, you can also control the side lights independently, and I thought that was a nice touch. I recently reviewed another low-profile keyboard from a big brand, and that's the Cooler Master SK650. But how do these two compare? I would say that the SK650 is an in-between. While it has low-profile cherry switches and slimmer than usual keycaps, it doesn't come close to this Drevo Joyeuse V2 in terms of thinness. The SK650 feels like a regular mechanical keyboard with flat and weirdly spaced keycaps. On the other hand, I feel like the Drevo is much closer to what a slim mechanical keyboard should feel like. Like I said before, it really feels like a glorified laptop typing experience, and I believe that's what it should be. All of that is mostly explained by the fact that the Cooler Master still has some pretty thick keycaps, and the low-profile cherry switches are not that low-profile in fact, since they decided to keep the regular cherry stem instead of the Kale approach to come up with a different mounting system. In the end, the SK650 has better lighting options, but the stabilizers are not standard, while the Drevo seems to follow the standard for low-profile Kale switches, and all of that for around half the price. So I feel like the Drevo Joyeuse V2 is the better buy if a low-profile board is what you're looking for. I don't think the SK650 is a bad keyboard overall, just maybe too much of an in-between to shine both in the low-profile and regular profile market. So before ending this video, here are the pros and cons I've noted while using this keyboard, starting with what I didn't like. The biggest thing to me would be the material used for the keycaps and the laser etching for the legends. I would love to see a set of double-shot PBT keycaps for this board. I think it would make a big difference in how the keycaps feel to the touch. They would also be stiffer, and it would make the keycaps feel a bit more premium, I think. Otherwise, the keycaps can be slightly crooked at times. On some keys, you can press on one side and the keycap will slightly pop out while still keeping its place, leaving it at an angle. Although it's pretty hard to achieve that while typing normally, it's still something to note, and it's the same thing for some of the stabilizers. I feel like this is more due to the switches than anything else, so this is probably something you would see on most low-profile mechanical keyboards. Again, I don't think this is a serious issue. Another point that's worth noting is that the Joyeuse V1 also supported Bluetooth connectivity and it had double-shot ABS keycaps, which I think would be an upgrade compared to this version, and I don't really know why they decided to change those features. Considering how compact the keyboard is and that most of its non-mechanical competitors are Bluetooth compatible, I feel like this is a feature that many might have wanted. I also think the case looked a bit cleaner. The main upgrades on the V2 are the layout, where the V1 had a slightly too large shift key and the keyboard has been reinforced too, but still, it would have been nice to keep all of the good features in this version. Finally, you don't get LEDs for the caps lock and numlock keys, which could be a slight bummer for some. Now, to the things I like. The typing experience is really great considering how thin the keyboard is. I didn't get a lot of typos while using it, and these low profile switches are really satisfying to actuate. The stabilizers are also not too bad considering the fact that these are low profile. You're not missing much compared to normal switches and stabilizers, I think. The main difference being the shape of the keycaps. Also, the overall build quality is great. I like that they went with an all-metal body and that they used the Type-C connector. This keyboard looks stealth with that all black and white theme too. And the side LEDs are a nice touch as well. Now, for my personal preference, I would love to see a 60% version of this keyboard, making it even more compact. Make that with PBT keycaps in a slightly more squarish industrial design, and that keyboard would be a gem to me. While I'm not sure if too many people would want that, that's kind of my dream low-profile keyboard. So that wraps it up for today's video. Hope you learned a bit about this keyboard and what I think about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below and I'll try my best to answer them. You will also find affiliate links down below, so if you're considering getting this keyboard, feel free to use them to help the channel at the same time. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video if you did, and if you didn't, just let me know why in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe if you still haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.